Cooper Webb getting a taste of his own medicine by having a last corner pass for a podium position. However, this stings a little bit more because you're not supposed to get passed on the outside. Jason Anderson blitzes the whoops while Cooper jumps it, and he squeezes him off from the outside and causing Cooper to fall down. And really, Cooper was surprised by this because his trajectory is going straight, and so his forward momentum could be to T-bone Anderson, who is coming in from the outside in on Cooper. But you can see here, if I zoom in, Cooper is still in the air while Jason is accelerating through the whoops. Cooper is surprised, so his body is waiting to the inside rather than if he was diving forward and just accelerating through the whoops. If he wasn't jumping him, if he was blitzing through him, he would have T-boned Jason, and Jason more than likely would have been the rider that ended up falling over. But no, because Cooper was jumping through the whoops, that motorcycle, you're loose, you're flowing, right? You're not going to get arm pump because you're taking a break as you jump, because in Supercross especially, even sometimes when you're scrubbing, after the big scrub, you take a breath and you continue on. When you're going through the whoops, everything is tight. Your ass cheeks are tight, your quads are tight, your core is tight, your lats are real tight. You're squeezing that motorcycle, and therefore he's ready for impact where Cooper was not. And it just surprised Cooper, and he ends up going down because jumping through him just really didn't work for Cooper. Here's him jumping through him on the outside, and Sexton just cleans in on the inside and does essentially what Anderson did, but Sexton had the line. And over the next jump, Sexton, I don't believe, meant to do this on purpose. He was just trying to cover his line. We'll see in this video where there's a lot of cross-jumping going on. That's what pros do, is they end up cross-jumping the heck out of each other. Sexton lands. He's like, hey, I made the pass, but I need to prevent Cooper from passing me on the outside. So I need to somewhat cover the inside and the outside. So he lands like he's going to the inside, but now you can see he's already planning on covering that outside line, and Cooper is accelerating to try to pass back Sexton as soon as possible, because that's how you're supposed to race. If you get passed and you don't pass somebody back right away, you end up falling into that position, and sometimes mentally it slows you down. So Cooper just ended up being there, and thank goodness Sexton is a tank, and he's arguably the thickest dude on the series as far as he's just tall, and he's built more like a football player. He's able to not just tattoo himself to Cooper and low side, but he was able to just deflect back up and continue on and make the pass stick. Now, the silliest thing that happened this last weekend at round 15 was Swole. He is this rider right here. You've got Seth that is riding phenomenal, and Triumph, at least the pit boards and everyone should be like, dude, we're getting on the podium. This is good. This is good. Not go for it. There's 40 seconds left on the clock. Maybe wait till you're a little bit closer, but this was just a kamikaze move here to go double, then triple, because you know as a rider that these lines intersect, because if he's able to land and stay to the inside, sure, do it every lap. But because of the forward momentum that he has to triple this, it is making him go out there. And what does he expect Seth to do? Seth just to slow down immediately when he's accelerating out of the corner? Again, potentially if Swole was closer, and let's just say he came across the triple side by side, well, Seth would be able to know, okay, this rider's right here, and he possibly would have gone to the inside to cover the line. But Swole had to have been 3 bikes ahead for Seth to be able to see Swole before he could slow down. This was a complete amateur move on Swole where he should have just taken the podium. He should have just taken the podium. You know, everyone has regrets, and this is definitely a big regret for Swole. I said we were going to talk about cross-jumping, and this is a perfect scenario of watching Seth and Deegan for the heat race as these lines just come together. Here, Seth is on the inside, and Deegan is on the outside. There's one right there. And here's the next one. And it's no different than what we saw Sexton doing to try to cover the line from Cooper Webb. Because what is Seth doing? He's got the inside, right? If he just held the inside, it would be fine. But see, he's jumping to the outside to prevent Deegan from passing him. So, these lines are getting close to come together. He totally cross-jumps him as Deegan is almost jumping over him. And Seth is just setting up for the outside, but now he's going to go from the outside inside for the corner to also cover his line. And Deegan is just there on the inside. So you've got Seth going outside inside. And you got Deegan, fairly holding his line. Thank goodness he's doing a little bit of an air wheelie because that could have been way bad. That's just a one-trip ticket to the hospital and end your whole Supercross and motocross and super motocross season. That right there was probably the scariest thing that happened on the track, rather than this was probably the gnarliest crash that happened on the track. And the dirt was coming down to the baseboards at Philadelphia, and everyone, without having a real berm here, with it somewhat being of a flat corner, everyone was just going to the inside. I really don't like flat corners just for this reason. It just makes it really one line. Everyone was drifting wide, and this became down to the boards, and riders were having some choppy bumps here. And you can see what happened to Seth is he's getting out of the rut with his front wheel, and his rear wheel is still in it. And it's causing him to almost endo. And what happened to Pierce Brown, almost for a podium position, is here. We'll go slow. Him dabbing his foot right there gets him off-centered, and they're pushing this wide. They're pushing these tough blocks wide. And so he's trying to lean over and not hit his handlebars on the finish line actual sign because he is so close to the edge there. This is the line that they need to come off of. So he's going to try to hit that. And he gets the rear wheel in there, but he does not get the front wheel. And boom, sends him off just like Seth. But luckily, he has the side of the jump to somewhat land on. Not saying that felt good, but at least with the tough blocks there, that saved him. So we'll watch it in real time. But again, what's happening here is these guys are accelerating hard from the inside, and they have to be wide open to make the finish line jump. So they're pushing these tough blocks wide, and therefore then they're almost having to bounce off of them to then get onto the track to where they're not going to hit the actual finish line stand. Because the same thing somewhat happened to Tomac just because of how slippery it was. Here, Tomac seems like his ass end is always slipping out. This is part of the reason why he hasn't gotten as good of starts, is because that ass end, you've seen it on my channel before. There's something going on with his setup to where he is just losing traction quite a bit on their rear wheel. You know, he's doing a good job with weighting the outside peg. Yeah, his elbow's down a little bit, but dude, the dude's just hauling ass. And the way Tomac rides is he's just always just dropping the clutch, and just, you can hear that bike. You can hear that bike out of all the other 22 bikes on the track. And so he loses traction, and he makes the smart decision by just checking up and doubling, and he looks behind him, make sure he doesn't get landed on. Tomac is real smart by not then coming to the inside here. He'll stay on the outside to make sure that nobody jumps on him. And this factory suspension is freaking incredible here. Watch Jason Anderson as he's winning his heat race, as he jumps and just cases the hell out of the landing of one of these triples, and that bike just soaks that sucker up. And I want you to notice that these riders case everything with their front wheel, as opposed to having the inertia and the physics of casing it with the rear wheel. If he would have cased that with his rear wheel, then you get the big rebound and almost the endo. But look at him. As he comes down, he knows he's going to case it. As he jumps it, he knows after takeoff, like, uh-oh, this isn't quite going to work. So he drops that front wheel, boom, and it soaks it up. Granted, yeah, these guys know how to ride dirt bikes, and second, they're on factory equipment. So they're not panicking. They're staying loose. He knows how to flow. If anybody on the track, we know Jason Anderson is a flowy type rider. Well, that is it for the mistakes for round 15. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. My goal is to get to 60,000, let's say by the end of the year. So help me out with that. And until next time, keep it WFO. Ba-ra-da-da-da-da-da.